Hello, and I'm Don Pratt, host of a show here on Rogers TV that gives you a perspective of policing your community. Welcome to Policing York Region. We've been chatting with the Organized Crime Bureau, and we're going to do several different topics. Today, we're going to start with Detective Sergeant Glenn Wright from the Financial Crimes Unit. Glenn, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks a lot, Don.
You know, we've had some generous time ahead of taping the show to talk about identity theft. And as close as I'm connected to York Regional Police, you think that you've got a good handle on things. This is one that I had no idea how big it was.
Yeah, we're always welcoming an opportunity to talk and get the information out to the community. It's a growing concern for sure.
Yeah, it most certainly is. And having visited yourself and your team down at YRP headquarters, I'm getting more of a grasp on just how large it is. So just before we get into the financial piece, I just wanted to give a bit of an overview of just what the Organized Crime Bureau encompasses.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, the Financial Crime Unit is part of the Organized Crime Enforcement Bureau.
Okay.
And we have a really dedicated, great team. We're very fortunate for the support we get, but we have one of the best financial crime units in the country.
Yes.
And we've, within that, we added last year the Asset Forfeiture and Proceeds of Crime Unit, which is part of the financial crime. So we've got different groups of investigators that do very disciplined areas of financial crime investigations and work.
Right.
In the overall Organized Crime Enforcement Bureau, there's also the Guns, Gangs, Drug Enforcement Unit.
Right.
There's the Auto Cargo Theft Unit.
Yep.
And there's also major projects and joint forces operations all in that portfolio.
Right. So it's quite a large umbrella, and yes. I guess I'm kind of referring to it as this is the stuff that more happens behind the scenes.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
They're very dedicated, very hardworking women and men in the units, and a lot of the work we do is unseen until we make an arrest or do a media release, but we're working very hard behind the scenes.
Sure.
And
So our topic today, identity theft, is. It's becoming more prominent. We're seeing and hearing more of it.
Yeah, it sure is.
I don't know if it's because it's something that's on the rise, or if it's just something that maybe we're more aware of. But either way, it's pretty significant in our region.
Yeah, it's on the rise for certain. Financial crimes is one of the top concerns of the community, and identity fraud. We're seeing an increase in the reports coming into us, and they really plague the community. People will get calls for accounts that they haven't opened, or their information's been used, and trying to help people unravel that is very important. Probably the biggest thing that I could share today is if we can just give people some tips. Like, really, knowledge is power. So if people have some tips to avoid some of the common pitfalls, there's always things that are going to happen that each of us has no control over in terms of our identity information. But if you can avoid just the simple things, and hopefully we can share some of those today. Yeah,
one of the things that you'd mentioned, and it's really stuck with me, is slow down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slow down. Think about it before you hit send or respond or.
Yeah. We live in an instant world now, Don. So we do. Hooked to our smartphones. We're hooked to the computer, and everything is. For a lot of better reasons, it's very fast now, but we also feel sometimes a compelled sense that we have to respond right away. Yeah. And I think the biggest message to get out is just pause and verify information, and never ever give your personal information out, and just review the basics. Like, you're getting that email coming in. Or would your bank ask you for your password on an email? Right. Or that's called, there's a term for that called phishing, which is spelled with a P, P-H-I-S-H-I-N-G. Yep. And then there's another term, which is smishing, which is a variation of that. And that's
smishing. That's a new one to me.
Yeah, and that's through text message or SMS message. So people are receiving these fraudulent solicitations, both email and now through text. And they'll frequently have a sense of urgency, like, we need your account reset right away, put your password in. And that's where, as safe as the bank systems are, if you give away the key, so to speak, and your password, then your information's gone.
Well, and I think that sums it up best is when we say think about it, slow down.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. We're in a very fast-paced world, and our smartphones, our devices, we do always feel like we need to respond right away. I can tell you, I'm the same way. I'm forever on my device.
Yeah.
But one thing I have learned is that if it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Yes, that's.
Or chances are.
That's a truism. Yeah. Always use that sort of that filter and evaluate things and make sure that it meets your due diligence. So just pause, and before you respond, if there's always built in a sense of urgency, whether it's an email, a text message, or phone calls can come in where somebody's reporting to be a bank investigator, and they give you a big official name and a badge number at the bank or an employee number, and we've got an immediate concern. Please, allow me access to your computer or your account, and then it all goes off the rails from there. So.
Yeah, no, that's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
The RCMP actually did a really good video. We're going to flip over to it in just a few seconds, and this just kind of shows exactly what identity theft is. So we'll roll over to that video.
Identity theft doesn't just happen in the movies. It affects millions of people each year and can just as easily happen to you. In the blink of an eye, your personal information can become, well, not so personal. Identity thieves steal your credit and good name to commit crimes that can ruin the rest of your life. With your identity, they can easily open new bank accounts, obtain credit cards and loans for major purchases, or binge shop. They can even use your identity to get passports and government support. Keep your personal information from falling into the wrong hands. Carry the least possible ID with you, and never give out personal information unless you know who you're giving it to and why. Identity theft is on the rise and can easily happen to anyone. So take charge. Don't let it ruin your life.
And that video right there just kind of sums up what we've been talking to up till now is anybody can be a target. Don't let your guard down.
Right.
But so can you walk me through and walk our viewers through, like, how does that happen? So, I've got my credit card. Mm-hmm. How does somebody actually obtain my personal information?
Well, there can be a number of ways, and it's a very broad topic, but really identity frauds occur from very unsophisticated means through up to very sophisticated means. So, for example, if you're looking at just taking information, there could be something as small as this device here, which we would typically seize off a fuel pump or another transactional terminal, and that information would just simply capture swipe data as it goes through.
Right.
So that's very, I call it unsophisticated, even though there's nanotechnology and. This
piece gets glued onto like a swipe machine.
Yeah. So it'd be typically referred to as an overlay.
And your card's going to pass through that.
Yeah, and it's kind of secretly capturing the data, the track data on the card as it goes through.
And it's actually going to. Wow. It's actually going to read and store that information.
Yeah, so that's a method that is lower in sophistication relative to what we're seeing now.
Right.
Another example might be just a handheld device where somebody with a criminal intent at a service, like a restaurant or a store, might have that and make a copy.
So this is the same idea, only. Okay, it's just a different format.
Yeah, and it just stores the information inside that device, and then it's uploaded later and contains the data device or the information.
So now some bad guy has my credit card, and they can just go and start using my card.
Yeah. So the important takeaways are that this type of capturing of your information, you may not be aware it even occurs. That's the difficulty, but. Some of the things to be vigilant on are to look at your statements when you get them, review them.
Yes.
And also, a lot of the banking and credit providers have notifications now, so you can set up a notification to get a text message that, hey, there's been a purchase. You can set varying levels of notification. And that just gives you
your credit card companies or your banks?
Yeah,
right?
so you get a message if there's a large purchase.
Yeah. So call your credit card companies, call your banks, and set up those notifications.
Yeah, you can often set them up online as well. You can just go in and set different parameters. So those are some easy things to set up. In terms of credit card information that's taken. In terms of your identity information, if that's captured through, it could be anything through you giving it up, or it could be through a data breach. And a data breach is where large amounts of information are taken from an entity, which you and I don't have personal control over. That's just our data is sitting on somebody's database and it's taken. So what do you do in that situation? Those are situations where if you perform sort of a periodic check on your credit bureau, your own credit bureau.
Now we're talking about Equifax and is it Trends?
Yeah, they're the two major credit agencies in Canada. So those agencies allow you to check what credit products that you have against your name.
Right.
And you can do that, and it's sort of like a tune-up. You can see what's there and what there's something that.
And this is something you should do on a regular basis. I mean, you should be checking your own, like it's your credit score.
Yeah. How often you do it, I guess, is a very personal decision. You could do it, 6 months or a year, but at least it gives you a look. And if somebody's opened a line of credit,
and we'll come back to that.
Okay,
folks, we'll be right back after this. Welcome back, everyone, as we continue our conversation about identity theft and some of the things you can do to help protect yourself. Glenn, we were talking about everything to do with identity theft and what you can do to protect yourself. And the fact is, the people that are perpetrating these things against us, they fine-tune their skills.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? Like they really do. We promote as much as we can. Don't give out any information that if it doesn't feel right, it's not right.
Yes.
Like you said, the bank doesn't send you an email and say, we need to update your password. Please enter it here.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. We actually even have a couple of pictures, I believe, of fraudulent of a bank. Maybe we'll put those up on the screen.
One of the issues with these phishing emails is they'll steal the logos and the graphics from an actual company, which is in this case, and they'll make them look real. So you want to respond to them. You're thinking, oh, that is from my bank.
Yeah.
However, they're redirected, obviously, to a criminal who is using that information.
Yeah. And we were talking ahead as well that when that whole phishing thing's, well, I guess I don't know if it was when it started or maybe when we became aware of it as citizens, but it didn't. Even the grammar and the punctuation was always horrible.
Yes.
So it was, for the layperson, it was almost easy to identify. Today, I can tell you, we've received. I got one from an RBC, a Royal Bank.
Yeah.
Where I do happen to have an account, and it was hard to believe that it wasn't real.
Yeah. The best advice I can give people is, and you're absolutely right, they're so real that they fool even the experts sometimes. Yeah. But always go back in through your normal banking channel. So log in yourself. Yes. And if in doubt, check first. Stop and phone the bank and say, is there a security issue with my account? And use the number. Don't ever use the numbers that are provided on these emails. No. So use the number on the back of your card or the toll-free number for the actual bank or institution, and then you're safe that way. And they'll tell you right away. They're more than happy to help people out and avoid these things. And
I can tell you that from my own personal experience, something that's just became common practice, even something as simple as paying my hydro bill, paying my phone bill, paying my utilities bills. Yeah. I get a reminder on my email saying, Don, it's time to pay your hydro bill. I don't pay it through that email. I capture that information. I sign into my bank, and that's how I pay it.
Yeah, yeah, those are all good safeguards.
It's just common practice.
Yeah, just there's so many things we could talk about, but some of the important things are never use public Wi-Fi for any financial transactions or logging on.
Yeah, yeah, they're not secure.
Yeah, and make sure you know where you're logging on and how you're logging on, and it's information is captured so easily now, and it's all this information. People ask us, well, where does it all come from? Like, how did somebody open a cell phone account in my name, or how did they open a credit card in my name? And this information is traded on the dark web.
Yes,
it's accessed through criminals and traded by criminals, and so that it's really just keeping your information as safe as possible is really the key. So not giving it out if you
don't share it. Like I said, if it doesn't feel right, chances are it's not right. We actually have a couple of videos that I want to go to, and these weren't done here, but this kind of shows too that it's not just here. It's not just in York Region, not just in Ontario or in Canada. These are actually from the UK, and we're going to flip over to them just to get their sense on it.
I'd like a loan, please.
If you're careless with your details, they could be used to steal your identity.
Yeah, of course. I have all the details right here.
And it's just like that. That's as easy as that, rather.
Before you hit the submit button, just
and you made the comment of they make a big deal, they make it dramatic when she's going to hit that send button.
Yeah.
And this is where it comes back to think about it. Slow down.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
You're better to, if you're doing online purchases, to use a reputable site that that for payment. Be careful where you put your payment information in, because websites can be, as you said earlier, they could be made to look really authentic. And if you're putting your financial information in there, you don't know where it's going. Whereas if you're using a PayPal or a payment method like that, or your bank, you know where your money's coming from.
And that was only in the direction of ordering online. We have another video that actually we're going to flip to now, and it's to do with phones. Receiving a phone call. So we're going to flip over to that.
Hi, Mrs. Walker?
Yes?
Hi, Mrs. Walker. I'm from your bank. It seems there's been some unusual activity in your account.
Really?
Don't you worry about it, Mrs. Walker. We'll soon sort that out for you. Before we continue, I just want to go through some security questions with you.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, can you please tell me your password?
Normally you only ask for 2 digits.
But due to the nature of the circumstances, I'm afraid we're going to have to go with a slightly higher security clearance.
Oh, yes, of course, sorry. 723-327.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put you on hold for a little moment, and we'll get this all sorted out for you. Is that okay?
Oh, yes, it's fine.
Right. Hello, Mrs. Walker?
Yes?
That's all sorted out for you. You have a good day, Mrs. Walker.
Actually, can I just ask you...
You wouldn't give your information to a stranger. Don't do it over the phone. For advice and guidance on keeping your details safe, visit actionfraud.police.uk.
Yeah, I have to say they're well done. Right? It's like I was saying during the break, is that kind of brings it down to my level. That I don't understand technology. I'm just not that guy. And that's why we can so easily become a victim, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just taking that pause, just take a minute and just think it through and make sure that you're as safe as possible. So don't feel rushed. Never feel rushed.
Yeah.
You have to respond. Just take the time.
And just a note to the viewers that those two videos that we just played, they were done in the UK by a policing agency over there. Don't reach out to the contact information there. It's not going to help you a whole lot here. But as far as reaching out for information here,
Yes.
There's many different areas. We always tell people yrp.ca.
Yes.
And from there they can get to many. But then, there's the TransUnion.
Yeah, so through the credit bureaus, you can do different things. If you are a victim of identity fraud, you can put an alert on your account so that any new credit applications will prompt an actual contact to you. So, So if your identity information was to be used by criminals, you may not know that somebody was applying under your name for a line of credit out in British Columbia.
Right.
But having an alert on there would stop that process from happening. So that's one important aspect. But certainly reporting is one of the biggest things in financial crimes. The percent of reporting is very low, and that creates a problem of if we don't know about it or if it isn't tracked or recorded, then a lot of times the problem doesn't exist. So
yes, well, and we through this show we mentioned that an awful lot. Like with regard to virtually anything, is without it being reported.
Yeah.
How do you build a trend? Right?
Yeah, and put the appropriate attention on it. So the reporting can be done through. People can report to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre if they're receiving spam calls or emails. If they're a victim of identity fraud or financial crime, they can report to York Regional Police through online reporting, or they can call the number and we'll direct the call. We have a kind of a triage system in York Region, so we respond depending on the call.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And like with many other areas of York Regional Police, you can always best direct people, right?
Yeah.
To where they can be going.
Yeah.
And another great resource thing, I'm just going to hold this one up for the camera, is the Black Book of Scams.
Yeah. So this is available through the Canadian
the
Competition Bureau, which is they work in partnership with the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre.
Yes.
And they publish this on a regular basis. It's also available online, which is convenient. You can read the exact same material, just open source, right from your computer.
Yeah, and that's where I was looking at it, was online, and it's a very thorough book. It gives you a lot of information. It's it's actually a good read. It's an easy read.
It's easy, yeah. It's got lots of visuals and it's easy to get through.
Well, and again, I mentioned it earlier. It kind of brings it back into my level, not to a policing level, to somebody that's been trained what to look for. It brings it back to a community member's level, right?
Yeah, we definitely promote that book. It's very very helpful.
Yeah. So again, Competition Bureau of Canada, and that's where folks can get the information, right?
They have a great website. So does the Anti-Fraud Centre. So there's all sorts of links and information and things to help people on there. So they're excellent resources. As troubling as the internet sometimes is with crime, it's equally helpful for education.
Yeah, no, it can be a great resource.
Yes.
It's just, unfortunately, the bad guys have gotten a really good hold on how to use it, haven't they?
They have, yes. Yeah. But we're constantly working on it. We're developing continuously our skills in cyber-related areas, and that's definitely emerging in terms of our activity. I've seen that over the years from, the less sophisticated card skimming, and now it's definitely trending over to cyber and online. So,
yeah, a lot of it is computer generated, and that's where a lot of folks kind of fall behind, and myself included. Is I don't necessarily know. I mean, I get what it looks like to send you an email or to open up a page on the web, but being cognitive of where to stay away from.
That's the biggest thing now is education and prevention. Is the single biggest thing is just trying to avoid falling into these traps, and then we're that much better off.
In one of those videos, it showed a woman that was doing an online order, and somebody else was watching her activity. We just got to remind folks that that's just one example. Even just clicking on the wrong webpage or buying something from an untrusted site.
Well, again, there's so many topics, but be careful on links that you click on. So if you get anything, or even unwanted emails, if there's an unsubscribe button on it, be careful. Don't click those. Just delete them. Just delete them. Don't even open them if you can. If it's from an unfamiliar sender, if it's a friend and they're trying to get a hold of you, they'll call you or they'll get a hold of you.
No, exactly. Yeah, I know we've had them in our own household. You know, those emails that come in, and they do get to be a nuisance where you want to hit the unsubscribe button.
Yeah.
But don't do it.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of malicious links that are embedded in these things, or click here for this great offer, and you click on it, and it could install malware or other tracking, information on your own device.
And my understanding is it can actually, depending on what they're using, it can actually follow what you're doing on your computer.
Yes, yeah, it can. And what the biggest concern, obviously, would be if it's capturing account numbers or passwords. That is, again, your personal information, or your name, date of birth, SIN numbers, any information that you're putting online, if it's being captured. So run good virus protection. And
always protect yourself.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. So much to know about identity theft, and I think that we've just scratched the surface. Folks, that wraps up this episode of Policing York Region. Been great having you, and I look forward to seeing you again.